Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Vonnie. This is episode 200, oh my goodness, 200! And we kill for peace while discussing the Peacemaker Season 2 finale. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
I'm doing great. Savon, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, baby. It's a Saturday
Brian
morning.
said you bringing some good energy this morning, or a lot of energy.
I woke up. I had my tea, a lovely pumpkin spice brew.
It says chaotic.
Oh my God, it's
chaotic
PSL
neutral.
season.
Oh, PSL season.
Oh man. Oh,
PSI or no PST.
Boy, I've been going. Brian, you gonna hate me woof. If I get a chance, I'm driving home, coming from Tony's spot, whatever. If I'm just like, oh, Starbucks right there, man, let me give me a little pumpkin spice latte here. Let me grab a little something. I went the other day and they were sold out, and I had a backup drink ready, but you could see the visible hurt in my face. Just like, okay, I'll take a chai instead, but dang, where the pumpkin spice at?
They didn't have it.
I love that you are like the most non-basic person indulging in the most basic shit. Good for you,
what?
Savon.
That's because
I think those two things cancel out when combined in your world.
It's because I just love. It's not basic or not basic. You just gotta like what you like. I just don't let the larger culture decide for me what I like.
That's right.
When I found out about pumpkin spice, I thought,
don't let the man hold
this
you
is
down.
Awesome. I then learned, it's actually has a lot of stereotypes associated with it. I said, okay, cool. Still gonna drink it. I'm gonna still drink my pumpkin tea. I still enjoy pumpkin and sweet potato pie. I still enjoy a nice pumpkin brew or beer. So like you could make your jokes, but it ain't gonna stop me from drinking what I drink. Like what?
This man is autumnal. He's a fall seasonal dude.
Go roller skating with
let the leaves fall.
Go roller skating with my sweater with a little pumpkin spice latte and some music playing.
Oh my God.
It's still over 90 degrees here in Texas.
That's what you get for being
sun needs to turn off. I hate it.
Being in Texas.
So many reasons to leave that state.
Terrible.
Sorry, best we can do.
There's supposed to be a No Kings protest today too at the Capitol.
Sorry, best we can do
it's gonna be sweaty.
Best we can do is
very sweaty.
Heat, guns, and no weed and Ted Cruz. That's all you're gonna get.
And breakfast tacos.
And no porn.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all don't get that either. Dang, y'all ain't got no porn. Y'all ain't got no
Oh,
weed.
yeah, they turned off Pornhub.
Y'all don't got
right?
porn. Y'all don't got weed.
Yeah. Pretend like you don't know Wes.
You got free speech, so y'all get guns. That's it? Like, dang, that's kind of a raw deal. Do you have casinos?
That's terrible. You know how pent up people are going to be? And they got guns?
And they got lots of guns.
So you can bust, but you can't bust.
Pressure
Ain't
cooker.
that something? Anyways, what we talking about today, Wes?
All right, we're talking about Peacemaker Season 2 finale, or at least the back half of the season. Big talk. All right, it'll be spoilers full, so if you haven't seen Season 2 of Peacemaker, the entire thing at this point, you are going to want to watch it if you mind spoilers, and then come back and listen to our show. We got some interesting. I think we got some differing takes on the season. It sounds like we haven't fully discussed it, but based on some side comments, I'm getting the sense that we're not quite on the same page on this one. So should be a good, interesting show. Let's start off with just like an overall, 10,000 foot view. I felt like season 1 and season 2 actually kind of were not very different shows, but they had different focuses. They had different like structures to them. How did they stack up? Did you enjoy one more than the other? I don't think I should answer this one because I probably can't really remember how I felt that much about season 1, other than, I enjoyed most of it. Anyway, Sav,
you think?
Season 1, season 2, how do they stack up against each other for you? Just on a general level.
Season 1 was cool because it was a refreshing concept and we got to see this character and the follow-up from the movie. So I think the expectation was different because no one liked Peacemaker in the movie. Like, people might have liked, the acting, but no one liked the character. He was meant to be one of the real antagonists, right? So season 1 was interesting because they have to do a whole rehab of the image for this character who most people hate. In fact, we talked about with season 1, the biggest issue people have with season 1 is that you hate the main character so much before you even go into the show that it could stop people from even watching it in the first place. Because you're like, yo, oh, that's the character who is absolutely insufferable and he's the lead of his own show. I don't want to watch this. And his whole bit is that he's problematic and awful. I don't want to watch this. And you powering through it and seeing his growth is what really made the show gratifying of like, hey, if you give it a chance, because I forgot how much I hated Peacemaker at the start of the season compared to how I feel about his character now. So that's good. I think the challenge is that once, and we talked about this a little with the last episode, I think season 2 feels different because it is a different type of show because Peacemaker has already gone through his development and growth. And so, yes, he still has some lessons to learn, but the foundation of the show is different because he's a way, like, even though he still has a lot of like trauma and things to figure out, he's way more self-actualized and emotionally stable in this show, arguably than some of the other, probably everybody else, right? Like, is that a wild thing to say? He's probably got his lid on a little tighter than even the rest of his peers by the time we're in season 2.
A little bit, yeah.
I guess season 2 had its moments, but I think it suffered more so from James Gunn creative decisions than plot and writing points. And we'll talk more about that, but I enjoyed the story of Peacemaker season 2. I think I had issues with the creative decisions of Peacemaker season 2.
All right. Brian, season 1, season 2?
So yeah, season 2, Peacemaker, like you said, he's a different character, right? He's more sort of the sad man-child, coming to grips with who he's been and trying to figure out where he's gonna go. And I think that inherently just makes for a very different show. Like, I think season 1 was a lot funnier, actually, and a lot more. There was a lot more conflict in terms of like what he was working through, and particularly when it came to him clashing with the group and those things coming ahead in the midst of this big Argus mission that they had, which culminated in like fighting aliens and stuff, which was pretty crazy. And so season 2 is sort of like a real come down from all of that, right? Like, you get less of the dynamic between him and the rest of the group, right?
He's often by himself.
He's often by himself in this season. And then like the bigger overarching plot, right? The thing that, the superhero thing that has to happen in a show like this kind of like happens on a whimper, right? It like doesn't fully pay off in the same way, particularly because it does revolve around Peacemaker's own character dealing with his sad boyness. And then also you have a greater DCU that this show has to fit itself within. And I think that also created some issues with where the main plot goes, right? And how James Gunn decided to pace it out and squeeze certain things in. And I kind of think he shortchanged his own story in that regard. Because this season definitely didn't feel as tight and strong as season 1 for me.
I didn't necessarily find that aspect of it. I think I was kind of satisfied with how they did it, but I certainly noticed like the tonal shifts. It felt like season 1 was kind of this epic, like on the move, everybody was like everywhere and they were always like going different places, and then the moth story kind of came out, or the alien bug story kind of came out into it, the butterflies, and like that sort of took off, and like everything kind of revolved around that for a while. So like, I don't know, it felt sort of like everything was like bang 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 bang.
Stakes were higher.
And I guess that's true, right? Sort of, right?
I mean, it was an end of the world conflict. I mean, I think agreeing with you, but
yeah. And then in season 2, the stakes could be eventually that high, right? If Argus gets all this power, but that was sort of like, kind of the main storyline, but also kind of not the main storyline. There, like, it sort of really felt like the front and center main storyline was like all the characters trying to grapple with their own inner demons in the season. And so it just kind of turned out to be a very different show, but I kind of like that, right? Like, it's, if you just rehashed like, okay, we just had another, villain of the season and another like alien invasion or another, something like that. It's kind of like, well, I guess, but like we already saw that, and so I like that they kind of explored a different territory here. And for Peacemaker to end season 1 in like quote unquote like a good place, right? Like it seems like he's found his family that he's sort of looking for, but we get to learn that once he's confronted with his doppelganger early in the season, it turns out that those wounds actually haven't been healed fully, right? That he actually does still long for a deeper connection, for a familial connection that is deeper than just friendship, right? And so he's found these new friends, but it's not the same as like a bond with a spouse or something like that. It's not the same as bonding with his brother, and especially given his history with his brother, right? He realizes, oh, like my inner child really, well, maybe he doesn't realize it, but once like it happens to him that his inner child starts wanting this life that he never got, right? That it never got to experience the love of his brother, like growing up and then working together and all that. So I don't know, all that to say, like I did enjoy this season overall in terms of the fact that it took a very different approach and a very different type of conflict and battle that was happening. It wasn't necessarily all about, well, we actually have to physically overcome this other thing. It was actually emotionally, we have to figure out what the fuck is going on in our own selves, and Adebayo has to do this, and has kind of a general arc to it. Vigilante still doesn't really get to do that very much, but that's maybe okay. He's kind of emotionally stunted teenager, right, as throughout the show. And then even Economos gets a little bit of that. Bordeaux gets a little bit of that. Harcourt definitely gets, a bit of that. So I like that was kind of more of the main focus. I enjoyed that, but it might not be for everybody.
Well, I think like what you're describing sounds nice on paper, but the question is, did the show successfully have those character growth moments, right? Like, did it earn all the things that you're saying, or describing, right? Like, I think those are two different things. And so I felt like the show kind of buckles under its own weight trying to do all of that.
Fair enough. Savon, do you think that kind of rings true to you too? Like they didn't quite pull off the like, we're actually studying these characters and they're having to like go through and find their way.
I mean, season 1 is Peacemaker being awful into the world, and then the rest of his team trying to learn how to help him and figure out his shit and learn to make him more tolerable. I think that Peacemaker was a very well done character for this season. Actually, I think his development and his moments and all that were actually like the best part. And to your point, that is what the season focused on. It was more internal character struggles. I thought it was very well done with Peacemaker because it's not immediate. He has ups and downs. He's actually in a decent place, but things legitimately keep blowing up in his face. Like he has that awful addition. He tries to join that team and he's trying to legitimately do better, and it keeps blowing up in his face. Harcourt rejects him because she has her own shit going on. Like,
right.
I thought that was a great part. But
and then just coming face to face with his adult brother.
Yeah, I thought all that was right. Great. And what the Peacemaker moments, emotional dialogue, all of that. But the problem is that everybody else's interesting moments last season bounced off of Peacemaker, and now they don't have that as much. And so I just think everybody else is just less interesting. I talked last time about how Vigilante was kind of I like Adebayo. I like the actress. I like the character. But she didn't have enough or a lot to do. Like, she didn't even get to have her hitting badass moments like she did in season 1 where, she's a goofball and she's not super, super gangsta about
fighty.
But she absolutely is actually like a gun prodigy and is actually like a natural at it. Like, I felt like they completely kind of just left that in I just think they had stuff for Peacemaker to do, and that was great. They did not have stuff for the rest of the cast to do, and it just wasn't as interesting. Like, I think Harcourt got some of the stuff, and she was kind of cool, but everybody else was like, I like your character, but you just don't have any good material to work with. And I think over the span of that 8 episodes, you really start to feel it. And I talked before in the last episode of how I hope that maybe we'll see in the second half, maybe the other characters will have a little bit more to do, but you could have made this whole season about Peacemaker and only him in that universe, and it probably would have been a better season with less emphasis on the friends, if I'm going to be honest. And that sucks because I like the friends, but they just didn't have anything to do, and the things they tried to give them to do just weren't very interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and I gotta
And I
say
like
that
the
like the
characters
worst.
because they were good last season. Like, it's not like, oh, the character changed and now I don't like him. Like, no, I liked Adebayo because she had the whole, unassuming but actually a hitting badass. I like Vigilante because he is a badass, but it's just effing nuts. Like, I liked all of those things, especially with the butterfly conflict.
I helped him incinerate the body.
Yeah, or the fact that he's still a gangster. Like, don't forget, Vigilante had his moments. Like, even when he did the prison stuff and killing the family of the people, like, Vigilante has some fire moments of like, oh shit, he's not just a joke. He really about this life. I just felt like all of that just fell to the wayside in season 2, and it sucks because good characters, they're not put in situations to succeed or to be entertaining in the story.
Yeah, I
I really
think
liked. I really
what
liked
was
Adebayo.
interesting was the
Stop
worst
messing with your mic.
episode.
Your mic
The
cable.
worst episode of the season, I think, was the middle episode 5 or something like that, when Peacemaker is pretty much not in the episode, and it's just the friends rounding each other up to go and do something about Peacemaker. And like when they finally get that screen time together, it's so flat. Like it's like nothing really happens. Like the interactions aren't that engaging, and their characters aren't going anywhere, partially because they haven't had anything to do in the first 4 episodes of the season. And so like, okay, now that they're finally getting the screen time, there was very little propulsion, and it just made you want Peacemaker John Cena on camera more, right? And so like to Savon's point, it's almost like, well, why are we trying to feed all these other storylines that really don't have anywhere to go? Why don't we just go all in on Peacemaker?
Interesting.
And
All right.
and I get why they don't want to, because it's such a dope, talented ensemble cast. And I know James Gunn loves to make sure, hey, if I hired you before, I will bring you back. That's why he brought back all the villains from Superman in this movie, right? Like all of Lex Luthor's staff are all just back in the movie again, back in the show. But I think the downside to that is that sometimes characters do need to be sidelined. It doesn't you don't always like what the best analogy I can think of, Wes? The best analogy I can think of is when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, they pretty much left behind every character from the previous Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
On one hand, it sucks because you like a lot of those characters and they're fun and they're entertaining when they have things to do. And I'm not even saying I agree or disagree with this decision, but for Deadpool and Wolverine, clearly they decided these characters do not have a lot to offer, not that we can give them to do to make this movie work the way we want. So we'll acknowledge their existence. We'll have maybe a part or two where they appear, but they're not going to have significant roles in this movie. And I think this is like the inverse of you decide you want to keep everybody around. So you kind of have to shoehorn plots into characters who don't really have a lot to do. And I think this is the end result of that.
All right. See, I can see where you guys are coming from, and I agree with the overall point. I think for me, it didn't feel that way. I felt like they got enough to do, and like they are supporting characters, right? They don't necessarily have to take front and center the entire time. And like I said, Adebayo, especially by the end, this is a spoiler, but like, by the end, she's come to this like realization. We talked about her last time being like really interested in like doing this security company thing, and everyone and you guys were kind of like, yeah, that's not going to work out, right? Like she's just denying like what it is, right? But she finds that it's not necessarily like that security company that matters, but like she does seem to find like something that she loves to do, and her pursuit of that means that she has changed, and it means that by pursuing her dreams, she would be like breaking her promise and breaking her connection with her wife, and she comes to accept that and realize it and apologize for it, and also embrace who she is at the same time. Like, it's a really hard thing to do, and it was a long time coming, right? She was sort of in denial about it a long time. She was like, no, this could work, we're gonna make it work, like I think it'll be fine, like I'll get her back. But her conversation with Judo Master and her watching, how Chris handles things, kind of opens her eyes to like, I don't think I can actually maintain this in a way that's fair and equitable for both of us, and I have to let you go. And I like that. I thought that was like an important, like really difficult moment for a character who, is a supporting character, but they managed to like make me believe that like through the course of the season that she had come to that realization that this particular moment in this particular time meant that her focus and her energy was going to go into the Peacemaker team and not into her relationship with her wife, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. And to be sad without that, and to still like understand like this is still maybe the right decision for me.
See, that's the thing, Wes.
I read those scenes completely differently.
Oh, see, I agree with Wes. Like, I think everything that Wes said just now is true, and I think the show did a job of showing those moments. I just don't think it did it well. Like,
yeah, they exactly.
Like you're right. Like,
it didn't land.
Like, no, you're right, Wes. That was Adebayo's arc. That's what they explored. They gave her moments to talk about that. Like, everything you're saying is on paper true. It's like, you know, it's like you got the recipe down of like, yes, but
this is what's supposed to happen.
But
check.
But in terms of,
but when you eat the meal,
when you actually go into like how it was executed, I'm like, oh, cool. It wasn't executed very done, because then she did do all of that, but the way it was executed, the way it was paced, the way it was done amongst other scenes, the way she had other stuff to do between all of that, to me felt like, cool. We've maybe talked about this 3 times in these 8 episodes to end up here with a bunch of other stuff happening in between. Yeah, sure, you checked your boxes of explaining how it logically happens, but if it still doesn't feel very satisfying or well executed, then I think it falls flat. And, you know, I mean, that's the reason why you can have a show where just because the plot works doesn't mean that the plot is good, right? Like,
oh yeah,
yes.
Well, I guess I'm arguing that, but also that I bought it.
That's fair. I just didn't think it was. I just didn't think it was.
That makes sense.
It just felt like
it
felt forced.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with that sentiment, right? That it's forced. In some ways, it was almost as if they just needed Adebayo to have this company, right? The security company for all the characters to eventually be part of by the end of the season, so that they can launch into something else in future seasons or in another movie or something like that. In a way, I really felt the MCU curse like coming to James Gunn's DC universe, where it's like, we need to set certain things up, and so we're going to have this trajectory, and now we're fitting in your emotional trajectory to match what we need to happen plot wise. And so like when she has that big conversation with her partner and it's all sobby, it's like, this feels like it is just dropping in from nowhere in a lot of ways. Like, you know, even though like, yeah, sure, like, okay, we have sort of these breadcrumbs throughout the season, it just like it rings false, you know, especially knowing that like they just need her to have a security company, which is, I don't know, it was kind of a silly idea to begin with.
The scene was good, but it just didn't, like, the scene itself, acting wise, I thought was fine. I thought the conversation was actually a really good conversation in the perspective of partners and competing life and goals and all of that. It just didn't. But
it fits in another show.
It just didn't build up to it. Like, and that's the wild part, is that the scene itself is good. The emotional beats within the scene and the acting is great. The fact that she lets her go and they both mutually have to end it is sad and really good. But y'all had to build up to that, man. You can't just show me the climax of this, but not feel like we barely saw Adebayo's partner throughout the show. Like, we see, like, the last time we saw her, Adebayo had broken into the house and then got into an argument, and that was what, damn near 4 episodes ago or something like that. Like,
even more.
Like, I damn near forgot. But, you know, I think some of that also has to do with, you know, we'll get to this about, I think some of it has to do with James Gunn's creative decisions, which we'll get to in a sec. But it's just a shame because I think the emotional moments of the show, acting wise, for everybody was good. It just wasn't built up to or paced properly to where it hit the way it should, which is unfortunate because it's like it sucks to see what I think is the waste of a good scene with good acting and drama, but it's just you didn't tee it up right, and it's like, oh man, that's not even the actor's fault. Like they part of this, they part of the job, but you didn't build this up to where the payoff feels good for the audience, or at least for me and Brian. I know you disagree, but
yeah,
it's unfortunate. And I'm going in with good faith because I like this series, so it's not even like I'm trying to nitpick, but I'm like, oh man, I give y'all a lot of runway, and you're like, oof. That ain't it.
All right, let us know, listeners. Did the side characters, the supporting characters, did they have moments and arcs, and did it make sense to you, or did they feel kind of wasted and superfluous? Let us know. I'm on the side that they did their thing. This one.
I love Economos, but him just being a weenie for 8 straight episodes starts to get old.
But that's the rub, is like he's kind of not a weenie sometimes. You know, I don't know. He's got it in him. Let's keep going. So, episode 6 drops a little bit of a big twist on us. it turns out that this other dimension or whatever we call it, the other world, multiverse, universe that Peacemaker finds turns out to be a world in which the Nazis won World War II and therefore rule like everything in the world, including wherever they're at in the United States. I think they're in Washington. So in it turns out that like it's a white supremacist society. Shout out to I think it was Screen Crush, which was the YouTube channel that I had seen that they predicted that might happen. And I think on the last show I mentioned at the very end that like that was the theory, and we had thought about like, okay, like yeah, maybe that could be happening. Well, it turns out
confirmed.
Confirmed that they were in a Nazi universe, a white supremacist universe. Did you? I know even without me mentioning it, did you see it coming? Was there some clues that you knew, like that you were focused on? Because I feel like, well, I talked to my sister and she was like, I had no idea that was coming. She was like, I feel like an idiot. Like, what a blind spot for me not to notice that like everybody was white in the show, and or in that particular realm or dimension or whatever it is. And what I told her was like, yeah, but also like they sort of really only showed you like the one sidewalk in the suburban neighborhood or whatever it was, and then they showed you the inside of one small government office and everybody there was white, and it's like that could actually happen where like one small government office had only white people and like a suburban street walking would only have white people as well. So it's not and then it's TV, in which has a lot of white actors going on there. So
well, a lot of places in the US are part of the Naziverse. You know that to be
maybe
true.
That's what it is, right? Yeah, it's actually
there are a lot of all white offices out there.
Turns out we actually live in the Naziverse sometimes. I don't know. Sav, what do you think? Is that a past that like our real world sometimes does look like that, and TV often looks like this? Or
so like
did it rub to you like, oh wait, this is actually like an on purpose thing, and like, yeah, this is probably going to be the Naziverse?
I mean, just to be clear, I want to lead. I didn't think it was some kind of Naziverse. I didn't pick up on that. I did pick up on like, yo, there's a lot of white folks. I did. I picked up on that because and here's the thing, and here's the part where I think James Gunn actually did a good job of subtly giving you clues for you to infer yourself. They do, and we talked about this in the show because there was a slight complaint of like they hard cut a lot between that universe and our standard universe in the episodes where it appears. So you actually have a lot of moments where you can juxtapose what you're seeing in them, and that's where I think those little bits diverse. Can pop up more. And because then I noticed even after the reveal happens, there's multiple scenes at the Argus in the primary. In fact, there's moments where they show the Argus place, I think, in both worlds, and you can kind of start to see side by side, oh, the one in the other universe really is just all white folks, including the office. But even the Argus that we know, of the Argus team we know, is diverse, right? Of like, we have the woman with the shaved head. I'm not going to refer to them what they refer to as nonsense, but like you have Tim Meadows' character, you have her, you even have the joke about Harcourt wearing like pants and not wearing a skirt and all that, because clearly women's gender roles are a little bit different in this world too, it seems. You have like when you just think about our primary cast of characters, even at the Argus office, even the woman who's a cyborg, you realize, oh, there's a ton of people of color, non-whites on the team. And then you go to the Argus there and it's like, dang, it's not even like a black security officer or nothing. I think and I remember there was one scene when I remember because they showed this really beautiful woman on screen who was like a black woman when when they went to the park and Peacemaker was going to turn himself in or whatever, and Harcourt tries to warn him, and it's like a sting. I remember in that scene, I was like, oh, that is a really beautiful black woman. And then it stood out like, oh man, yeah, this is definitely different between the two universes, because it's not even like sexy background extras or something going on. So I actually think James Gunn did a good job of when you're bouncing between the two, that's your moment to kind of realize, oh, maybe it's all white, but why is the Argus in this world clearly on purpose a lot more diverse than the other one? So I think it's meant to purposely prey on some of our blind spots. I think the show also gave you some moments to be able to kind of look through it a little bit. Like I said, I first thought, I'm like, oh, this looks kind of white. But I didn't jump to a Nazi-verse. I just thought, this is just them going for that idyllic 1960s aesthetic type shit that's like, okay, it's a creative choice. Not one I agree with, but I didn't make that. I didn't go there. Okay. Like, to me, it was the way it is. Like I said in the pre-show. Like,
we didn't see like Nazi soldiers.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. and you didn't see a ton of like iconography that was like swastika this and swastika that, and like, you know, the kind of the things you might expect if the Nazis from the 1940s actually took over, because they were so like intent on like everything has to have a swastika in it. You know,
but the lack of people of color, I definitely noticed it. I just didn't think that it was going to be tied to like a Nazi verse. And then afterwards, once it's revealed, you become way more cognizant of like, oh yeah, our Argus has way more diversity, people of color, and then once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
Yeah, I think I have to be honest with myself that I wouldn't have necessarily noticed it the way you did if I hadn't like had like a heads up from the YouTube video. Like, you know, looking for it, I was like, oh yeah, like everybody in here is white, so like this is probably where it's going. But I think I would have been like my sister, kind of like, you know, you were saying like if you exist in a lot of white spaces, you tend not to like clock that so much, right? And I think like, you know, we went to school at a like primarily white institution. There are a lot of white people at these schools, you know, and you're like in classes full of white people.
Yeah, but
so even, like, you know, that in my like high school experience was a lot of white kids. We had, you know, obviously kids of color, but you know, it just is.
But that's the thing, Wes, in my mind, like, especially for folks who might have been in a primarily white institution, especially as a non-white person, I feel like in those instances, yes, you might have been used to them, but I also think you are much more aware then of like, oh, cool, I'm in a space with all white folks. You can pick out the non-white person. I know, that's what I'm saying.
When I go into a space, I'm aware.
That's what I'm saying. But that's my point of like.
But on TV, I'm like, yeah, that looks normal.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that it does open up an interesting conversation of how those cultural blind spots can manifest for you. If you're a white person who's only been around white folks, you really legitimately might not notice that. But I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think most non-white folks in America can recognize. Not even like it's a fear or safety thing, but you're very aware if you're the only person who looks like you in a space. You know, like that's not a weird thing to say out loudly. That's a weird thing to say out loud. And even if, and you know, like Wes, even if you're in a room with 100 people and they all white, if there's at least one other Asian person, you're gonna be able to clock them. And
like, hey,
I have been at weddings where I was at a wedding in college where I was a friend's plus one. I was definitely the only black dude at this wedding. Probably the only black person. This was a pretty decent sized wedding. The only other person who was black was the groom's dad's business partner, who was this tall black Jamaican man, and he beelined to me at one of the events to have a conversation just to start talking to me. My point is, like, people are aware of these things, especially in the real world. At least certain folks can be. But shout out to James Gunn for, I think, doing a solid twist on playing on our blind spots, because
for sure. I mean, even if you were like, if the person in your situation was white and they went to a wedding where everybody was black, they would also be like, I'm the only white person here, you know, like you kind of notice.
And trust me, every black person's like, oh, whose friend is that?
I love in those situations though, it usually becomes like a situation where you meet your doppelganger and it's a fight or fuck situation, right? Like, am I gonna hang out with this person, or are we gonna be low key competing the entire night? Like,
I gotta be the best
I'm
Asian?
the better one. I'm the better one.
That's like, all right, we gotta stick together, homie. Look, it's just us.
All right, Brian, did you pick up on that before it happened, or before they revealed it kind of more obviously?
I mean, I knew it was coming because I saw a spoiler.
Okay.
But like, I mean, more like Savon, right? Like, you just sort of notice that, like, okay, they're going for the Pleasantville, like 1950s, everything is lily white, white picket fences sort of aesthetic. And you knew that something was off with the Sons of Liberty, right? When Peacemaker intervenes, that was Sons of Liberty action. Like, you're supposed to know that there's something that feels a little suspicious about it, right? But you can't quite put a finger on just what it is. So yeah, it's in the ether. But I think, like, you know, even more so, I think what I appreciate about James Gunn's idea here is that now we gotta question everything else that we see. Is, you know, like, that the next episode of that sitcom you're watching, is that part of the Nazi-verse? Like, is this part of the DCU extended universe in the pocket portal portion where the Nazi-verse exists? It just might be. Like Friends, I'm looking at you.
Friends is a WB show also.
Oh my God.
This is not the crossover.
This is not the crossover I expected. Yeah, to your point, Brian, I thought, like, with the Sons of Liberty, because I forgot that was a big like little hint to things. I thought at worst totalitarian government that leans into the lily white aesthetic. I did not think they were going to go full Nazis with that. I thought, okay, so the government sucks. I'm like, all right, well, that's totalitarian governments. That's all. Almost how the episode of you ever seen like the Justice League Unlimited? They have the Justice Lords where they fight their evil counterparts, and their world looks very similar. And at first glance, it's chill, and then you realize, oh no, it's hardcore totalitarian. You can get arrested for littering, and it's one of those. Oh, okay, cool. It looks all nice, and it's not until maybe you start ruffling feathers that you realize exactly what kind of world you're in. But I like the twist a lot. I think my only complaint, Wes, is that I think they should have utilized that universe more. They utilized it for Peacemaker's character development, which I thought was a very great point to make. But I thought that there was going to be more. Like the way they set up the brother of like, okay, Hardcore didn't kill the brother because he might try and come back and all that. I was like, oh, okay, is this going to be a bigger thing? But I like the potential of that universe. And I'm kind of disappointed that they killed off the dad and seemingly have written out the brother, because I thought that they were really dope characters who...
No, I think the brothers could come back.
They left the door
open. They left it open,
right,
but we don't know if there's going to be another season of the show.
He was in the hospital.
Yeah, but we don't know if there's going to be another season of the show, and then...
Right.
Because this might just be them ending Peacemaker, the show, and then they just exist in the larger universe. So again, you can decide they do what they want with the characters, but this could just be the end of them using that character for a show that's over and that's it. But and even in regardless,
but if they come back, they left it. He wasn't dead.
Yeah,
I guess is what,
but I guess that my point is, I would have liked to see them more in the context of this show. I would have liked to see more of them explore that relationship of what could have been. Of him learning about the different universe, of a version where his dad isn't the effing devil. I was like, oh wait, the dad isn't awful. Oh man,
I want to talk about that.
I want to learn.
Seemed very redeeming.
I want to learn more about this character, and I felt like they had to get to the end point of everyone back on our main Earth and the Argus threat that they're building up. And I'm like, I'll be honest, man. I don't really care about Argus as a villain in this show. In fact, I don't really care about any central villain in the show. I cared about the Peacemaker and his alternate family dynamic. Like, that was when I was enjoying the show the most, and I'm very disappointed that they took that into some really cool places, but never quite, like, right when the layer gets peeled back and they learn the truth and you learn that they're not just, like, cartoonishly evil, they actually have a lot of nuance to them. I was like, oh, dope. I can't wait to see what we do with this. And then they kill the dad moments later, and I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, this was so awesome.
It was a cool thing that they weren't like mustache twirling like Nazi villains. They actually, because you sort of think they are, right? Because they have the same costumes that they had, and the dad was they use the same names. They're still the Blue Dragon, which is like clearly a Nazi reference to like,
the White Dragon,
Red Dragon, right, or whatever.
What was the dad's one? The other version is the White Dragon or the Red Dragon?
I think he was the White Dragon.
But I do think White Dragon versus Blue Dragon. I think that is actually very, like, in that universe when he was Blue Dragon, that stood out to me of like, is he different? Because White Dragon clearly had its own clan associations, and they could have easily just kept him White Dragon if they didn't want to rebrand his personality. So even just changing him to Blue Dragon was like, okay, cool. He's not the same.
Oh, see, I didn't catch that, but but then when he starts talking to Peacemaker about like what actually happened, right? He's set on vengeance for a minute. He's like, wait, you're here to attack me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like about to end, like he traps Economos and whatever. And then it turns out when they actually go through the scene and their conversation, he's the one that's kind of like, I'm trying to keep an open mind here. And also, explaining that like, he's not necessarily on the side of the Nazis. He's not on the side of like the people in charge or whatever, the government. And he blows up some of the cops too, right? As part of his escape.
He's probably the most reasonable character in that whole arc. Yeah. Like in that whole
the cops, pigs are pigs everywhere. Apparently.
Yeah. So it was like interesting that like he didn't mind killing cops, whereas like he's a hero, right? And we would normally expect the hero to at least like maybe just like try and get out of there without killing the cops. But his idea was, no, we're just gonna send the proton cannon down and blow up their cars and blow them up. And kill literally every single sheriff that was down there. I didn't know what to make of that, right? Like we didn't get a lot of information and background on that, and I don't know. I like that we didn't, because it's like, well, like it's a little bit up to our imagination, but it would have been cool to explore like how do you come to a place where it's like I'm a hero I'm like basically doing some law enforcement things, but I'm not necessarily on the side of the cops. And I have these powers or what, like this equipment and these abilities, but I'm not necessarily fighting on the same side as like the Sons of Liberty, who are like anti this like fascist regime that's happening here, right? Like he sort of exists in this middle space that would be like kind of interesting to explore. Like, how do you get to that point? And you know, even when they catch Adebayo, the son was like, "Well, we chased her down. We were trying to get her," and he's like, "But why?" He's like, "Well, I thought she escaped." And like, but like it's like these adults like hadn't talked about like where do they stand on like the presence of black people. Like Keith wasn't necessarily like we should kill Adebayo. He was just like, this is wrong,
Well,
and so I have to set the system right. Like
well,
they clearly had not actually like gotten to the point where they'd really talked about these things as a family, and like what their actual perspective is on this.
yeah. Well, my impression.
And he has that great line that he says like he can't fight every injustice.
Yeah,
right? And like
he tells
he's
Harcourt
only,
like, have you fought every injustice in your universe? Like that's good.
Right. He's only able to confront the the big existential threats, the kaijus and whatever, and that's the best that he can do, and he acknowledges that, and that's the hand that they're dealt with in that world. And
Yeah,
I totally agree with both of you guys. Right, it's sort of like this missed opportunity of exploring what heroism even looks like in a world like that.
Yeah, it's like interesting,
and
right?
also
like,
would have been very like pertinent and relevant
Yeah.
as well, right? Like there's different degrees of heroism and what justice is, and what
that's true.
fighting back might look like.
Yeah.
I think that would have been really interesting territory. And then there's also the territory with like Chris, with Peacemaker himself getting the wish that he wants, right? He gets the life with his family and a life with Harcourt, but he just says offhandedly later when the normal Harcourt comes that like, oh yeah, she was nice enough, but like not you. Yeah, it would have been nice to see more of that, right? Like, could we have explored what it's like to get the thing that you dream of and it's not actually what you want, right? Like the show didn't deliver that for us. And then I think there was also other territory too that they could have explored, right? We got two vigilantes, which was kind of fun. What would have been like for all the other characters to also see or meet some form of their other selves in this world?
That'd have been a lot.
Would that have been a better way to explore their character growths than what they ultimately got?
Maybe.
And then so all of a sudden, and all of the Naziverse stuff ends pretty abruptly, and we're pulled back into a season finale that is twice as long, I think, as most of other episodes, but it's all about Argus and setting
And half
up,
as interesting.
the Salvation Prison for future things in the DCU, and that's the point where I start saying like, oh man, James Gunn, I see that you are just concocting these stories now for this overarching storyline instead of doing service to what interesting things you had built here in a smaller,
that makes sense,
more focused Peacemaker season.
Yeah, the Argus portal stuff was just to me not interesting. Like, and I want to say this, Wes, because you're talking about the the whole dad's thing again. The dynamic and impression I got, well, one, I think his whole thing about the hero thing actually wasn't really that much of a gray area, because I'm like, oh, you're just describing all superhero medium in a way of like most superheroes don't rock with the government. Like, I think one of the biggest themes of pretty much any superhero story is that they end up in direct conflict with the government because they don't rock with them, with the government's on some bullshit. So like, I actually thought that was probably one of the.
It's different when the government is a Nazi regime, right?
I mean, maybe in terms of us having like the symbolism and the loaded nature of them calling them Nazis, but in terms of just like a evil government that does shitty things, not really. Like, the entire plot of the movie Civil War is basically what you're describing, of just heroes fighting, realizing, oh, the government's trying to do this. Oh, we don't rock with that at all. And then the line between being a hero, but then still being on the right side of the law. My point being is that I actually don't think the character was as gray in that sense. I just think we are more accepting of a blatantly evil government if we call them Nazis, which is fine. I just think other governments are just as evil. We just don't call them Nazis, so we're maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, we call them MAGA.
Yeah, we give them a little more grace. But like, there's plenty of superhero stories where the American government basically fills the role of what the Nazi government in this show is, in terms of just, you're fighting for heroes, but you can't fight the entire system. But where do you fit into that little middle ground? But my point is that I thought
I think it's also relevant to individuals. Like, you know, you can't necessarily protest or promote or be an activist on every single social justice issue, right? Or some kind of issue that you want to like go. You could acknowledge like, hey, yeah, that thing's going on, that thing's going on, that thing's going on, but like, this is the one that's most personal to me, and so this is the one I'm going to put my energy into. And like, it feels bad, right? Sometimes you're like, I can't necessarily like put all of my effort into protesting this particular thing that I feel like is wrong, or I know this thing is bad. And then like I put way more effort into this other thing, and it's like, well, why is like this thing any better or worse than the other thing? And it's like, not. It's just like, this is the thing that personally maybe touches me, or this is the thing that I've chosen, or whatever. But like, you can't actually spread yourself so thin that you try and promote everything.
We're not mad at Spider-Man for not fighting against the government. Like, I think this is but my point more so is that, like, I thought that layer of the dad was interesting, because I think they were setting him up as not even like a complicated hero. I think they were setting him up as like, he's actually a more traditional hero that we would see in the regular universe. I thought what was interesting was less so that, it was more so that in this universe, it felt like the dad was the one who was heroic and had a good heart and had his head screwed on straight, and his two sons were the fuck ups. Like, that was the impression I got. Because in this universe, Peacemaker is wild, like, right? Like, they're saying, oh yeah, the drugs, the wild and out. Like, clearly this version of Peacemaker,
the violence
is not, you know, doesn't have his shit together. And then, honestly,
well, our version of Peacemaker also did lots of drugs in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but drugs don't make you a bad person. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I'm talking about the violence I see. And the unhinged. Like, my point is that this version of him is violent, doesn't have his shit together, is dangerous to other people, and doesn't seem to be interested in growing. Our version of Peacemaker was a victim more than anything else, right?
Right.
And this version didn't kill his brother, so some of it's like, yo, I think you just maybe a little bit more effed up on your own terms. My point being, that version of Peacemaker was absolutely wild. Even from what we learned about him, I was like, okay, he didn't quite have it. It just wasn't a heroic version of him that was killed in that fight they had, right?
Right.
And then even the brother had his own issues going on, because he was the one who, to your point, Wes, right? He was the one who didn't have an issue with the chasing down a black person, even though the dad was like, why would you do that? Because the dad's more of a, we can't fight the system, but we're not going to actively aid it. The son was kind of just like, yeah, sure, I'm in it. The son, Keith, was the one who was going to go nuts when he was like, you killed my brother, and he didn't want to. The dad was like, hold on, stay, you know, keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of this dynamic of like, oh, is this the opposite in the sense that in the other universe, Keith and Peacemaker have good hearts and have good potential, and the dad is an irredeemable monster. And in this Nazi verse, it's the other way around, where the dad is actually very heroic and has a good heart and has all these positive qualities, but his sons are kind of crash out, kind of like, I know we're meant to like Keith because that's his long lost brother, but when you see more of Keith's interactions, you're like, oh, he's actually kind of a crazy hothead too, who again doesn't have an issue with the racism stuff that the dad clearly is like, at worst he's not complicit, but clearly doesn't approve. And I was like, oh man, this is a cool little rift. I wanted more. Like, there was just so much story. I just don't care about Argus, man. Like,
that's fair.
Like, I get that Rick Flag Sr. still mad about his son, and I don't mind them still having that be a background thing. But once they came back, and then the show was just him working with Lex Luthor's people and all that stuff, and the portals and the people not being cared about, I was like, honestly, man, I could kind of do without this. Like, they just bait and switched us with this cool concept, and then just gave us kind of, I don't know, basically the main villain of of Superman, right? Like, aren't we just getting the same conflict from Superman again, of government group abusing technology they shouldn't at the cost of others? And it's like, okay, I guess, but I've already seen that arc, and I just saw that arc in this movie a couple months ago. I don't need that same thing again, you know? Like, we know what's gonna happen. Okay, cool, y'all messing with technology you're not understanding, and y'all gonna F something up, and it's gonna cause problems. And I'm like, cool, we had that already. I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, I enjoyed it, but yeah, it wasn't the most interesting part. I felt like through episode 7 was like where it was like really cool and like, all right. Let's keep going. So we talked about the team dynamic. Anything else you want to add about there? I think we pretty much discussed that. Let's talk about James Gunn's style. So you guys have both been alluding to this. I didn't mind it. I think I just enjoy James Gunn style, so it doesn't like necessarily like bother me. But you guys both have kind of bumped up against some of the creative choices that the team made, because he didn't direct every episode, he didn't write every episode, but obviously he's kind of helping to shepherd this whole project through. Brian, let's start with you. What about James Gunn's style here maybe didn't quite land, or was there anything that did land for you?
I think he actually did write almost every episode. He didn't direct all of them, but I'm pretty sure he's a writer.
I think he only directed the first one.
He's a main writer on all the episodes. He directed the first and last episode. I think there's a couple others in between that he also directed. But definitely it's his stamp, and any director
it's his show.
Working within this is working with that same palette. You know, like James Gunn is fun and he does fun stuff. But I'm starting to think that maybe he's stretched thin, because a lot of the style that he's known for, right, and doing creative things, really seems to be losing its place, at least in season 2 of Peacemaker, to the point where it devolves into just almost a caricature of what he's done, right? It's like, let's just pepper this whole thing with rock music montages. Let's just like do a needle drop to advance the story, and where we just have like people doing ridiculous things in slow motion over and over. It's like I think in the last episode there must have been a rock song montage like every other minute. Like they would have one, and like it's like, okay, now like everybody's exploring the pocket universes and stuff like that, and then like 5 seconds after that, okay, needle drop, another one, we're gonna do it right after. Now it's like all the Peacemaker friends coming together, and now they're doing a thing, and then we're gonna do another one, and then now it's like it's the backstory of the boat cruise situation with Peacemaker and hardcore. Like it just kept coming, Brian, over and over.
Oh, we got
again.
The Freddie Mercury looking guy.
All right, so Brian,
who did like a really cool tumble while he was singing, like props to him for that. But like we didn't need to be on that damn boat for so much of the episode. Like, oh my god, like give it a break, or at least expand your playlist. Like I know like this is supposed to be the Peacemaker aesthetic and he's into metal rock, but geez, like we could have different flavors of things, right? Like
James Gunn is in his Spotify,
different types of music in that palette, right?
He's just a friend who's forcing his Spotify wrapped on you, and you have no choice but to hear all his greatest hits, favorite music. No, I'm gonna read your list, Brian and Wes, of the track list just from episode 8 of season 2. Someone Special by Hardcore Superstar. Fucking My Heart in the Ass by Steel Panther, which was wild. I was listening. I was like, what are they saying?
Which was the only good one to use, right? Because of the lyrics.
Yeah, it went on way too long. And I honestly, lyrics, I was like, okay, y'all doing too much. Then it was We're Not Gonna Take It by D. Snyder. That's 3 songs I've named for the record. Only My Heart Talking by Alice Cooper. Get Back to You by Nelson. And then I think Reckoning by Cruel Intentions. That is 6 different songs that they used in that episode,
and they're not even quick.
And even if you let them play even if you only did 2 minutes of each track, that is still like a decent chunk. That is like 1/6 of the episode. Not even getting about, actually credits were long too. So at that point, you're getting into like, dude, we're getting into NFL commercial levels of like, when you break down the numbers, you're actually listening to music more than you're watching a show. But nah, that shit was egregious. That is the word.
Someone said you have to think about Tron Ares as a visual album and not as a movie, and you'll enjoy it so much more. Maybe that's what happened here in episode 8. We just need to.
He was trying to pull a Beyonce on us. Come on, man. At least that music is good.
Yeah, and at least make it a music show. This is a music show about music. Maybe I'll feel a little differently, because I'd be open to like, okay, it's a show about music, so that's gonna be
there's gonna be music
baked into the style of the show. This is a superhero show, dog. And not even a music-based one. It's not like it's the Luna Snow Show, Wes, you know, where she putting out her album or some shit. Like, he's not even a musical hero. So K-pop it just starts to feel... I named 6 tracks in 1 episode, dude.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That is insane. That is
I was okay with
that
it.
is you were okay with 6
You're
different
okay with it?
songs, Wes. You weren't watching the episode and visibly on your couch or chair, just like,
Nah.
dang, they playing more
Nah.
music. Wes,
Nah.
there was a point where they were playing so much
Let
music,
them
Brian.
cook.
I was like, oh, cool. I can do something else because I'm not gonna actually miss what's happening on screen because it's just gonna be them at a rock showing out for the next
none of it
4
mattered.
minutes.
It did matter.
None of
well,
it mattered.
It mattered that him and Hardcore had the moment, and then she freaked out.
And that was
about
great.
The moment
That was great.
and ran away.
That's
was fine.
But then they did it again.
At first, I was like, is this a flashback?
We're
or is
like
this
1
what's
week
actually
later, we're back on the boat.
So y'all were using the same set piece, change the banner, and we're gonna do another effing song. And we go, not just do the song, not just like, okay, they're playing it and then you skip to the next scene. No, we're gonna play it and y'all gonna listen to it. And it's gonna be the song from the opening intro that you hear every damn time you start the show up.
I always skip that one.
That was the most. I've seen some egregious, self-indulgent shit, Wes. This is like Taika Waititi levels of just like, hey, yo. And I think I said this about Taika too. He needs a. I think James Gunn needs a handler. I think he needs a handler. I think this is the friend who.
Where's Kevin Feige?
You know, when you
Somebody.
make, you make the big pot of soup and you put something in and you got to dilute it a little bit. You got to cut it.
Yeah.
You just need to cut it. Cut it with some water. Cut it with some. It's just giving like this is like Wes. Would you give your kids juice? Y'all cut the juice with water.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Look,
100%.
cut that shit. He's giving it to us too pure, straight out the pot. People ODing. The work is too strong. I'm gonna need you to water whip it or put some flour or some baby powder, something, because this shit is too potent, and I mean that very much in a bad way.
I think like all that
potent.
coke dust from like Vigilante's secret lair like blew on James Gunn. Like, dude, you are inhaling this stuff. What is going on?
His hair actually isn't white.
That was a good one. We're gonna clip that. All right, sounds good. Do you think he did any? Did you? So like only complaints about the style pretty much on this one, like it was just too much all the time. Were there any moments where you're like this really benefited from having James Gunn as the steward?
No, but I do have another complaint.
Okay.
Sorry, I know you're trying to tee me up to say something
Lay it
nice.
on us.
I don't have something nice
No,
to say.
I wasn't. I was just, I was just saying, like, I don't want to make it seem like we're just like dumping on him if there were like other things that you did like.
No.
There's so much to dump on them.
No.
Okay.
And I want to be clear. Peacemaker's development and story arc were amazing. Just as good, if not better, than what it was in season 1. I thought that was amazing. Like, when they're going to kill his brother again in front of him and he screams no and he's having that breakdown and his entire breakdown of feeling like he causes death around him, that was great stuff. And those are the
I thought his
moments
moment
where
with Adebayo was really good, and his
Yeah.
moment with Harcourt when he when she was about to be interrogated in the Nazi verse.
Yeah.
Those were so good.
The Peacemaker, even the moment when they do have the flashback and they're having the dinner, like, I love that Peacemaker is, for all his flaws, he's genuinely comfortable with himself. He doesn't mind embarrassing them in public, doing all the dancing. I love that Adebayo goes to bat for him and talks about how, and she really talks about how he a big old dummy, but he genuinely is genuine and she feels loved. And like, to be clear, all those moments were great. I love the Adebayo Peacemaker like friendship, and when she said he feels loved or she feels loved around him, I was like, that's real, because the character really has been written and developed in a way where you hate him, you see that he has a huge capacity for love, and once he starts to get past his trauma, you realize he actually is the kind of friend that everybody kind of wants to have. He's that dumb but lovable friend. Like, I was bought on that. I was sold on that. I thought it was great. And so I just wish the season had focused more on just that. But my other issue was when other characters weren't, or when Peacemaker wasn't around, I felt like the humor for the other characters just turned into like Adult Swim, Deadpool and Wolverine style. Oh, so we're just cursing at each other. And I've become more critical of that style of humor. And when it just feels like the characters aren't making jokes, they're just cursing and ranting at each other, it's like, okay, cool. This feels very, feels lazy. It was my biggest issue with Deadpool and Wolverine. I was like, okay, now it just feels like a middle schooler just wrote people cursing each other out because that makes it entertaining. And I felt like Peacemaker, there were moments.
That's like my wheelhouse, guys. Like, that is the kind of humor.
What the F? What do you mean, what the F? No, F you. No, because how the F is the F and blah, blah, blah. Or characters who are just intentionally dumb and that's the bit. Like, You know, like
Economos.
yeah, like
Economos not
like
Savon, so
no,
adult.
not Economos. I love Economos. I'm talking more so
but he couldn't make remember he was like dumb and that he couldn't make any kind of like distraction or joke, right?
Yeah, like that. I was like, okay, so it's like, okay, so
yeah.
she's just bumbling, and I'm like, okay, that's the joke. I'm like, all right, man, him just bumbling and dropping F-bombs isn't humor. Like, let's write an actual joke. I could sit here and drop F-bombs and act confused, and we're not gonna act like that's some kind of top tier comedy. Like, you know, that was. So there were moments where I felt like I was watching Deadpool and Wolverine in terms of just middle school swearing humor that feels very fillery of just, okay, what are we gonna say? All right, F-bombs and arguments. I'm like, okay, cool. Like Vigilante's most of the he's just being
You're
dumb.
just describing Superbad the movie, which was
low key. I mean, but like, come on, y'all. Like, come on. What's the joke?
Also part of the Nazi verse.
What's the point?
FYI.
Yeah. Like, y'all, what's the joke
Probably.
of Tim Meadows' character having the bird blindness and just always being dumb? And, you know, what's the point of Vigilante just talking animal facts and just being egregiously wrong and that's just it? There was no build up. Like, what's the point of that, y'all? Come on, keep it real. Y'all thought that was funny? Like him just saying
honestly,
manta ray facts and then just being wrong. It's like there's no joke to this right now. It's just where's the joke?
I don't know.
And it's not like they did it once. They did it all season. Every
That's
time
funny.
Vigilante
Just
popped
commit
up.
to the bit.
But bits are meant to be funny. He's just being wrong. And not even in a humorous way. Do spiders have milk? What is this conversation right now? James Gunn, you thought
I kind of like that conversation.
This is what happens in my brain.
I thought my time was actively being wasted. And it sucks
I mean, yes.
because I love both of those actors. The guy who plays Vigilante apparently was in Bridgerton of all shows. And I love Tim Meadows. So I'm like, these are two amazing, talented actors. What is this stupid shit? I was actually getting upset. I was like, yeah, this is
Wait, who was in Bridgerton? Which actor?
the dude who
was in
plays
Bridgerton?
Vigilante.
Really? He's
Swear.
in Bridgerton?
Yeah, he plays
Is he a
he
totally
knifes
different
people in
person?
that.
he plays like a duke who
I didn't know he had an English accent
he's
either.
English.
He,
Yeah,
he was in the behind the scenes, and I was like, what?
my guy. When they said he was in Bridgerton, I was like, wait, what? Who could he have played? And
Hilarious.
he played like one of the most straight-laced, not funny characters.
Great actor then. He can do multiple things.
Bro, what? I was like, there's no way. I'm looking at the
Transformative.
pictures now and I'm like, no effing way.
No,
Alright.
but honestly, like, okay, so I don't have as much of a gripe with the comedy as Savon does. Like, I still think that stuff is funny. Like, I do like Tim Meadows.
I'm laughing
finally
so
being
hard
the one.
watching Savon parody it. I'm just like, this is funny too.
Tim Meadows is definitely the guy to engage Vigilante, right? Like that. To me, that was like the culmination of the joke, which
The two nonsense characters out nonsensing each other. Like he got out nonsense.
Yeah. Of course. You got to get them on screen together, right? You got to put De Niro and Scorsese and Pacino across the table from each other at some point. But really, my problem with the season though was the fact that actually the funniest person in the cast is Peacemaker, and Peacemaker does not get the chance to be that funny like during the course of the season because of where his character's at, and like and I think like the counter, you know, sort of like the counterplay between him and the other characters, that's where like the best humor is
From
for the
season
show.
They're playing off of him.
They because you can't play off of John Cena, who is really an incredible comedic actor.
So effing funny.
Like you sort of like rob the show of like one of its best gifts. Like who could forget him like dancing in his tidy whities from season 1? Like that's just like funny stuff because of the way he looks, right? Like he's just like, even physically, he's funny. So
his body is weirdly proportioned.
Yeah, I mean, it really
he's jacked
is.
but doesn't
And
take
it's
himself
like,
seriously. That's the thing. He's jacked but doesn't act jacked. Like
he's a mattress, but he's an idiot. Like it's, you know, like that is just comedy waiting to be plucked from the tree of humor. And they left all that ripe fruit there in favor of like the low hanging stuff, which is not as tasty. And I think that's what we're missing out on. And also, I think that there's a difference in the amount of jokes between episodes 1 through 4 versus 5 through 8, right? Like, I think we lose a lot of the comedy in the second half of the season.
They are in the Nazi verse.
And I mean, like, You know, if there's somebody who's able to find jokes in that universe, I think it's James Gunn. and but we just
you
like,
could lampoon
They
them a
did
little
the
bit
Scrabble, the
I don't get
Cheerios,
it.
the Scrabble and Cheerios.
Oh, those weren't
bits.
that funny though.
There were like small.
Oh, you didn't
bits.
think that was
There were
funny,
small
but you thought
bits.
No,
Manta
that
Rays
wasn't
was
funny.
funny.
The Manta Rays was kind of funny.
I think the spiders was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So
Look at y'all
you can get
forcing
spider
yourself.
milk from
Look at
Whole
y'all- look at
Foods.
y'all-
Come
look
on,
at
you
y'all
can get
forcing
spider milk
yourself.
from
You're
Whole
gonna say it was
Foods.
kind of funny. Y'all forcing yourselves to like this stupid joke. Whatever, I'll let y'all live. It was kind of funny.
It's all right.
I didn't think the H at the end was that funny, where Vigilante was very obsessed with his Cheerios. All right, let's start wrapping it up. At the ending, Peacemaker gets landed in that Salvation, planet-wide prison. But then there was some squawking or some like things going on.
It's Jurassic Park. Surprise.
Yeah, it felt like there was going to be
Chris
some
Pratt's
like
gonna show up.
giant dinosaurs or monsters or something hiding behind the trees.
Too.
So I don't know. I don't even know if we're gonna get to see where that goes. I saw YouTube that said that was probably gonna be a Dark Side intro thing, but I don't think it has to be. It probably is because comic book people are into the weeds in it, but it'll be interesting. I don't know if I want to see Dark Side on screen, but maybe.
He's like the villain.
Yeah,
He doesn't have a cool design though. Like, I agree with you. I don't want to see like a live action version of him.
yeah.
I'd rather Brainiac, but like, come on, y'all. Darkseid is like
Brainiac would be
the DC. Everybody got all hands on deck villain.
cool. Okay. How does? Never mind. We'll get into it. All right, because I don't actually know.
What? What was you about to? Come on.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, how is someone, how are these non-powered characters, non-meta humans gonna like actually be useful against someone like Darkseid? But I guess we'll have to see. That's just
Peacemaker is going to do something super heroic by sacrificing himself. That's
Maybe.
what's going to happen.
and but even like someone like Batman, right? Or all these other characters, just like what do they do against someone who's got all like actual superpowers?
Same with people doing all the Avengers movies, bro. It's a team effort.
Yeah, team effort.
You might be the person who pushes the plan along, or pushes the plot along, or
carries the glove for a bit,
or something. But
All right, Hawkeye, we're looking at you. So our maybe sillier, get to know you question. So what quantum realm would you land in that would be like your perfect fantasy, but would have one major glaring flaw? Savon,
Yeah, like a super blind spot.
yeah,
'cause everything else
and you
is so
just
shiny.
didn't realize that it was actually a Pleasantville situation. Brian, what would that universe look like for you?
I need to kick this to Savon. I need a moment to.
Okay.
Oh, this
to
is
think.
easy.
Savon, are you ready?
Yeah, my perfect universe is the one where the Lakers and the Celtics just don't exist. They have never existed in basketball history.
No, you need a villain.
So they've never existed in basketball history, and new villains will arise, but we don't need just that institutional evil. And so, LA and Boston just don't have sports teams, period, really. Let them keep their Hollywood movies. They just make movies and stuff instead. It'd be a beautiful universe because I'm there and I'm like, oh man, look at all the sports covers talking about all the other teams, and I don't got to deal with the rich elitists and the racist elitists. And it's a really it's basketball is even more pure, and it's not everybody's just photoshopping their people in Lakers jerseys, and it's good. But then I learned the flaw of this universe is that the Pelicans are still god awful because even across the multiverse, success
They're still
will
owned
somehow,
by the Saints owners.
Yeah, the success will still elude them even across the multiverse. Or I gotta dig a lot deeper. So it's one of those. I'm there. I go through the door. It's basketball season. I'm like, oh man, no Lakers. I boot up 2K. Oh man, no Lakers. And so, oh man, this is dope. I'm playing the teams. I'm blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I didn't pick the Pelicans. Dang.
You get your Pistons
Dang,
out. The Pistons are great.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, the Pelicans still the worst team? Like, shit. Then I look into the history and I'm like, oh, this is the universe where the Pelicans are like the Clippers of the who we consider the worst franchise in NBA history.
Kings.
We're like, yeah, so and this is the universe
it's gotta be
this is
the
the
Kings.
universe where the Pelicans are the kings of the universe. And so I have to accept that I lose my worst enemies, but my hometown team is cursed for eternal. I don't even want to say mediocrity. I just want to say, what's the word? Just being ass.
Aren't you used to that already?
Being terrible.
Yeah, but it could. Yeah, but we've had brief flashes of like, okay, there's hope, and some of the stuff is just bad luck. Like Zion just always getting hurt, AD always getting hurt. That's just bad luck on the slick. Some of the other stuff of the management, that's not bad luck. That's just actively bad decision making. At least for the Pelicans, you can chalk it up to like that year we had Boogie and AD, and it's like, all right, cool, injuries effed us on that, but there was hope, and it's like, okay, that's one thing. Sucking because of injuries, like Portland, is different than sucking because, like, oh no, you actually are just bad at your job from top to bottom. And I imagine in this universe, the Pelicans have injury luck is even less of a thing, and it's just no, we just are always bad.
Yeah,
and I'd have to accept that.
They keep having promise, and they keep they have some nice young
exactly.
guys.
Imagine not having promise, like Sacramento, where it's like no one expects anything of you. There's no okay, maybe if things go right, like in Sacramento, if everything goes right, they are still awful.
Yeah, they've got 38
Westbrook.
wins.
Maybe that's my curse universe. West is that it's that the Lakers and Celtics don't exist, but my favorite team is always going to sign Russell Westbrook, and he just chases my team like a voodoo.
And not like 10 years ago, Russell Westbrook. Like today's Russell Westbrook.
I mean, I don't think he was good 10 years ago, but that's a different conversation.
Oh, wow. All right.
Hot take.
Well, you're not going to win games with him on your team. You're not going to win important games. There we go.
They won a lot of games.
Yeah, not important.
All right.
Anyways, what do y'all think?
Mine is almost actually the exact opposite. So my perfect universe, I walk through the door. There isn't Peacemaker helmets inside the pocket dimension. It's actually a whole bunch of Larry O'Brien's just being stored there because in my perfect universe, the Lakers are, the dominant team. And in fact, they don't just play from October to April. In fact, they have games all year long. They play, the NBA season, and then they go straight into
season too?
Maybe they go straight into the WNBA. I don't know. They go into some other, season, and they continue playing games. So I get to watch them all the time.
They play Big Three.
The media universe revolves around Laker coverage, and that means I get more Laker podcasts that I can listen to that are good. There are a lot of Laker podcasts currently, but not all of them are good. So I want more good Laker podcasts that are free that I can consume on my ride to work or my ride home from work. We've been similarly successful in this other universe. It doesn't mean we've won every championship, just that we're similarly successful. And then the one flaw, though, that I hadn't noticed right away was that I turn on SportsCenter and or First Take. It's First Take, I think. And on my screen, I wake up, in the morning and someone is next to me, and we're horrified to find that Stephen A. Smith, current in our current universe, is a pretty big Knicks fan, or purports to be a pretty big Knicks fan. Is somehow
he's a faker.
Somehow a Lakers fan. On TV, and is just driving everybody nuts with his terrible takes and trying to rage bait people into engagement. I would not want that on any day, and I would have to leave that pocket universe just because Stephen A. Smith is also a Lakers fan, and I'd have to come back to the real universe where there's 4, 5, 6 months without Lakers content to consume.
What? You'd have to come back to the normal universe where the Lakers are constantly being talked about in every sports media?
But they don't play all the time.
The only difference was the Stephen A. Smith part. And he still gives bad takes about the Lakers.
But he's not a Lakers fan. We don't have to own him. We can just reject him entirely.
But every time he speaks about the Lakers, he's like, oh, like, don't misunderstand me. Like, Rob Pelinka is a great guy, and I have a very great relationship with LeBron, and I love LeBron. However, I gotta say this.
That wasn't the best Stephen A. impression, but it wasn't bad.
I don't know who that was. I think I ended up doing that comedian that does the Trump impressions. It's a little weird. But Stephen A. Smith,
Shane Gillis.
They're on the same circle, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just a lot of attention baiting.
Yeah, Wes just named our current universe. I don't even know why I entertained.
What was different about that? You live that already.
Well, we don't have all. I need more podcasts. I need more podcasts breaking down.
You need more content creation about the Lakers, the team that has the most content. I hope you trip. I hope you get up out your chair and you just
shout out to Laker Film Room, amazing podcast about the Lakers.
Yeah,
I hope you roll your ankle.
I need more Laker Film Room podcasts.
I hope you roll your ankle, Wes.
They already do one a day or one every weekday. I need two.
And then on your rolled ankle, you can find some more Lakers content.
All right, Brian, what is your fantasy perfect pocket universe look like?
So my fantasy universe, I'm not gonna go with like, oh yeah, the Knicks are the greatest ever. Hey, who they are is what made
Is it
me who
integral?
I am. Okay,
The triumph,
they've
the grit,
given
the
me
loss.
character. Hey, resilience is a very useful quality to have in this world. But no, so I'm gonna go a different way. For those of you who have hit your 40s and who have grown to be accustomed to running away from social situations because they are so awful when you're in your 40s, like running into your neighbors and having small chit chat is terrible. Or meeting like some random person, or like running into somebody that you used to know from 20 years ago and you realize that both of you are boring now is terrible and fills me with lots of anxiety.
Really?
And so
I don't mind those interactions.
my fantasy universe is one in which like everybody is fucking hilarious. Everybody is as witty
That
as
would be
like
amazing.
Jerry Seinfeld and has as much charisma and like outlandishness as Kevin Hart. And like you could just like run into a conversation with any single stranger or like jabroni on the street, and like it would be the best conversation you'd ever have. And that would be effing awesome.
I would
And
like to visit
it would
this
just
universe.
be
Can I
like-
get a passport?
The parks. What is
This
this?
would
The
be a
Parks and
great
Rec
universe.
What is the NBC comedy universe? Like
Yes, exactly.
describing like if you lived in
this is a
Abbott
dream. This is
Elementary or
like
The Office or
Thursday
Parks and
night
Rec.
sitcom night, like everywhere, and like everybody's just nonstop hilarious.
It'd just be like if everybody was
That would be
Tina
so
Fey.
good.
Yeah, I'd want everybody
Everybody's
to be like
doing a
Tina
bit.
Fey,
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert. No, I wouldn't want to
Yeah,
be in the
like,
NBC universe. I want to be
everybody's like Will Ferrell,
Yeah.
like doing something hilarious. Like it might be crazy, but at least it's funny. Like, come on, I would totally enjoy that. I would not breathe a sigh of relief when people cancel plans on me because honestly, I didn't actually want to hang out with them. I would want to hang out with them because you're gonna have a good effing time. But the blind spot, here's where the blind spot would be. It'd be like everybody's having fun and goofing off, and then you realize you have to like go to work with the same people, and it's just like, oh,
they don't get anything
it turns
done.
out nothing ever
There
gets
we go.
done, and the entire world is in shambles. Like there's like nobody's actually working. There's probably no money, and we're going hungry because the farmers are also just yucking it up all the time. So yeah, maybe this universe wouldn't last very long, but at least you had a good time.
Everyone's doing a bit, and you realize, oh God, I want to get off this.
I'm
train.
the only one that could be the adult in the room, and
Yeah,
all the
it's like-
projects now. It's the group
Oh,
project,
no.
right? The group project falls on you to finish in college or high school.
Oh no, super stressful.
That is true. All right, friends. Well, Peacemaker season 2. I think I'm at a 4 out of 5 on this one. I really enjoyed it. Brian,
You just got a wince from Savon.
he really did. He was like, ugh.
I'm sorry. That was just you know how sometimes the shit just happened organically. I didn't mean. I'm sorry, Wes. I wasn't trying to disrespect you. I just my
I
body.
don't feel disrespected.
My body
You just got a different wrong opinion.
My
It's
body just dial it back.
fine. Brian, what's your rating?
I want to be fair. I think there were some good moments that were, especially in like the earlier part of the season, that I think were getting lost by the time they try to land this plane. I don't know that they landed it. I think it was like a river landing, like a Hudson River landing situation. So I'm gonna go with like a 69 out of 100 on
All right.
this one.
Okay.
Well, maybe a 70 on a good day. I
Okay.
don't know.
All right, Savon,
Are you 12, Brian? Jesus, all of y'all.
kind of.
Just because I use 69, are you 12?
No, 12-year-old.
So that's not you doing a bit, Brian. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just leave.
It wasn't a
Clearly,
bit.
I'm- could've done 6'7".
I'm in grumpy old man mode, so let me chill out because clearly I'm in a farts and burps aren't funny mode. Let me dial it back.
I'm too old for 69s anyway.
What?
3 out of 5.
Ooh, 3 out of 5.
the-
That's like the lowest score you've given in a long
Yeah, I know.
time.
I thought the Peacemaker parts of the show were phenomenal. I just think everything else just wasn't as interesting and fell flat a little bit. I thought I think Brian made a very good point of like a lot of the humor involved them playing off of Peacemaker's absurdity. And once he's less of a racist, sexist a-hole, that doesn't happen. And they kind of have to be the ones who initiate the comedy offense. And it turns out they shouldn't be your point guard when it comes to running the jokes. It needs to be Peacemaker with the ball in his hand. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, cool.
We need the point guard.
They're good finishers of funny moments. He's a good initiator. When you inverse that, turns out it's like, oh, actually, I don't want Economos running my comedy offense and having to set people up.
Oh, my God. I think that's exactly what the Knicks might be like this year. I'm worried. Anyway,
I'm very happy to hear. But yeah, 3 out of 5. Peacemaker parts were great. The others weren't. And I think the ending, once we left the Nazi verse, I think that just took a lot of the wind out of the sails for the show to me. Because
I mean, that was only second to last episode.
You're talking about, no, wasn't it?
That was the last episode, and it was a double episode.
Yeah, they left in 7, and then you had 8, which wasn't there. Yeah. All right.
But
they did land the plane for you. All right. That's fair. I mean,
wow.
Savon
is usually pretty generous with his scores.
I know. That's why
this one's really low.
Yeah, I know. I am very generous. That's why I'm like, yo, the things that I didn't. But it's one of those. I know exactly what I didn't like, and I know exactly what I did like, and the don't likes were just a little too. You like them
to land the plane.
Yeah,
you like them to land. The plane.
I just think the crude dialogue and over reliance on music hurt. And it hurt even more knowing that I felt like the characters didn't have as much to do. And then all of that was balanced out by a phenomenal John Cena performance. But him being amazing and the lead can't single-handedly carry the show.
Adebayo also amazing. I'm not sure that
like
actress' name.
Like I said, I like
great.
all the actors are. I like all of the actors. I thought their acting was good. I think it was literally my issues were just a writing and direction dialogue thing. It wasn't who are these shitty actors? It was who's writing this shit?
James Gunn.
James Gunn
was writing.
Get a load of this guy.
All right, friends, that'll do it for us. On Instagram, we're at confidently_pod. You can leave us a DM. What did you feel like, especially around those supporting characters? Did you enjoy their involvement? Did you feel like there was something missing? I think that's probably going to be where your enjoyment of the season hangs. Is did you enjoy like their moments? Did you feel like they had enough to do? And if you didn't, you probably aren't going to enjoy the show as much, as kind of what it sounds like. And then hopefully you didn't get the episode 6 spoiled for you by watching the show or listening to our show. All right, friends, we're out of here. Next show, I think we're going to be talking about Gen V is probably what's going to be coming up. Oh, I didn't acknowledge this is actually our 200th Confidently Wrong episode. Guys,
I thought this was 201.
We're
skipping 200.
We have been doing this for a very long time. No, this is going to be 200. We'll do something for 201 or 202. And make it a good one. A little Washington D.C. area code shout out. You know, we got to do it. Savon didn't like that. All right. It was like he had, he was drinking his margarita and he thought it was sugar on the rim, but it ended up being salt on the rim, and he was just like taken by surprise there.
This was
not in a good way.
I had an unsweetened
Who's
tea.
putting sugar on the rim?
I had an
I put sugar
unsweetened
on the rim
tea.
sometimes.
I put the unsweetened tea. You know what? Just
Yeah. Unsweetened tea, but then you thought it was sweet tea. You're really in for a ride there. All right, friends, we're out of here. Watch Gen V. We've heard good things. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things. So I'm hoping Gen V season 2 is as interesting as season 1.
I finished it.
All right, y'all. We're out. Oh, you okay? Any things we should be on the lookout for?
Nah, we'll talk about it on Town Call.
Okay. All right. See you later, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.